Well, Stanley, I think we ought to start right from the beginning. How did it all start back home in Ireland?
Well, originally, when I was 13, my next door neighbour had an Indian and sidecar. It was during the war and petrol was virtually unobtainable, but somehow he obtained a 2-gallon tin of it once a month. I think it was over the garden wall, like from a certain engineering works, and we used to burn that up in about 3 or 4 days. He taught me to ride this Indian and sidecar. I don't say that I got very expert at it, but I got bitten by the bug. I made inquiries and found out that some enthusiasts from Dublin were going to the Isle of Man the following week to see the 1921 senior trip. I joined them with a pal of mine. He took a Harley Davidson solo, and we went from Dunleary, Kingstown as it was in those days, to Holyhead, by sea, by train to Liverpool, by boat to the island. We were met by other enthusiasts. We went round the course that evening, and next day we watched the race. From Hilbury, halfway through the race, I turned to my pal and said, you know, I could do that. And he more or less said he could too, and we both did. There was a race meeting coming off at McGilligan Strand, 200 odd miles from Dublin in the north of Ireland, and he and his partner entered for these sand races, and I was one of a party that went to watch them. His partner, I'm afraid, was an alcoholic, broke down, went into the nearby pub and got flutered, to put it mildly, and it was up to me to repair his bicycle and ride it back to Dublin. On our way back, I think it must have been next day, Paddy broke down he was riding the Cotton, I think, I was on the New Scale. And outside Banbridge, a small country town, we stopped with some little minor trouble, and a lad on a Norton, a 16H, came along, and as we did in those days, he stopped. He said, seeing straight through pipes on the bicycles, he said, have you been racing? And Paddy said yes, and I said nothing. Oh, he said, we got a race coming off here in a fortnight, why don't you enter? And Paddy said, well, send us entry forms. So in due course he did. And Paddy said, I'm going to ride the Harley, which was borrowed from a friend of his. What about you? I said, well, I've no machine, because the Harley that we had was my father's for business. I said, I daren't ask my father for a bicycle for a race. He said, I'll ask him. So he did so very cunningly. He came out to the house this evening, complete with entry forms, and borrowed a pen from my father. This was before the days of barrows, you know. And jokingly, my father said, are you writing to the girlfriend? Oh no, says Paddy, I'm entering for a race. Oh, where is it? Banbridge, this, that, and the thing. My father turned to me and said, what are you riding? Or are you entering? And I said, well, I've no machine. And he said, what's wrong with the Harley? So I said, nothing. So we both went to Banbridge. Paddy didn't get there, he broke down on the way. And I got there. I didn't finish. The handlebars broke in the middle. There was a double-stemmed affair, and I used to bend them sometimes twice a day. Put the sidecar on, take it off, and this, that, and the other thing. The handlebars broke in the middle, so I only did 3 laps out of the 5. But I impressed everybody and myself, and determined I must race. Then the job was to get a machine. I decided that I would write to all the manufacturers and ask them for a machine. So the loan of a machine, you see, pay my own expenses. And I told Paddy of this plan, and he said, well, you're wasting your time. He said, I wrote to them all last year, and I got one reply from Norton's, and they sent me their list and the name of their local agent and said they raced machines the same as you could buy, which was quite true in those days. But he had no money, and I had no money. And somewhere deep down in my brain, the idea was born. And I wrote to all the manufacturers, seniors, saying that I was riding in the junior, would like also to ride in the senior. if they would lend a machine. And the same letter to the juniors about the senior. The result is I got a reply from everybody. And Cotton fell for it. Wanted to know who I was, what I'd done. Short letter back to him saying that self-praise was no praise. If he'd write to his local agent, he'd tell him all about me. And he wanted to know what machine I was riding in the senior. And I told him I was riding an Indian, one of 3 to be entered by the Indian concessionaire in Dublin. Write to him. And if you want more information, write to the president of the Dublin District Motorcycle Club. And I don't even blush when I say that I dictated the answers. The result is I got the loan of a machine. And you know the result. I'm here today.